Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Despair here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Kratom and 7OH, or just 7O, whatever you want to call it. Now, I want to preface this by saying don't just don't do 7O, don't do Kratom. One of the main things I want to go over in this video is 7O in particular, because Kratom and 7O are related, but 7O is a whole other fucking beast. So, if you don't know what Kratom is, um, Kratom is a plant from Southeast Asia, and it's chemically related to the coffee plant, if my knowledge serves me correctly. And what Kratom has is a bunch of alkaloids. Now, what alkaloids are is they're like these chemicals that interact with certain receptors in the brain or neurotransmitters. I'm not a fucking scientist. Couldn't tell you the super deep ins and outs of it. Now, the alkaloids in kratom, one of them being 7OH, also known as 7-hydroxymitragynine. Now, what this does is it's a partial opioid agonist. Now, what that means is it tickles your brain's opioid receptors, just like things like your Oxy, your Dilaudid, your Vicodin, your Perks, whatever you want to call them. Another thing with kratom is by itself, it's not very strong, but what people have began to do is extract those very specific alkaloids out of the kratom. Now, the primary alkaloid, like I said, being 7-hydroxymitragynine. So, normally in just normal leaf kratom, the green powder you see at the smoke shop, there's only very, very little trace amounts of 7O in it. And that's kind of where the problem starts, because when you extract that and you get just 7O, it becomes a lot stronger. So because of how much stronger 7OH is, that's where it starts to get pretty addictive. Now, normal leaf kratom by itself can already be pretty addictive. I'm gonna get into that in a second. But I will say normal leaf kratom can be used as a pretty valuable tool if you're trying to kick harder stuff, if you're trying to, stop taking perks all the time, or, if you're an alcoholic, it can help with the cravings. But, like every fucking person who's done any substance ever has heard, you got to moderate that shit, because if you don't, you're going to get hooked on it, just like I unfortunately did. And it's going to have some pretty negative effects. Now, when I was doing normal leaf kratom, I was using it to stop drinking so much, because I am an alcoholic. I've had pretty bad problems with alcohol in the past. And at first, it did help quite a bit. I didn't find myself waking up wanting a drink. It would help with, the withdrawals I would get. It would help take my mind off it. And I would, you know, I would try to keep my use of it to a minimum, but the thing with it is tolerance builds pretty fucking quickly. The bigger problem with that is that's when you start to get into the addict mindset of where you're not just using it as a tool anymore, you're using one thing to replace another thing. And I found, because in my past, right, So I can't take SSRIs, I can't take most antidepressants. They either make me go nuts or they make me a fucking zombie. And part of that, and trying to use it as a crutch to quit drinking, I kind of just made the excuse, oh, it works like a mood stabilizer for me. And it's like, of course it fucking does. It's a opioid agonist or antagonist, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And if you take any fucking average Joe off the street and you give them some type of opioid, any, and you ask them if they feel good, they're gonna say, "Yeah, I feel fucking great." Um, but yeah, that's kind of where the slippery slope starts with leaf kratom, and I was doing it pretty heavily. I went from about 4 to like 6 grams a day. I was drinking almost an ounce of that shit later on in my use of leaf kratom, and the withdrawals fucking suck from that. Um, pretty similar withdrawals with 7-O actually, because they're related. Um, one of the worst symptoms is if you wake up and you don't have that shit, you are not going to be motivated to do anything. You're going to be tired as fuck. You're going to oversleep. It almost gives you hangovers. Like I would wake up some days finding myself sleeping for fucking 10 to 12 hours straight. It's not good. It really isn't good. Now, that's leaf kratom. Um Now with 7-O, that is increased a lot worse, and you get even more stronger opioid withdrawal symptoms. Now, another thing I want to tell you guys tell you guys about, sorry, I can't fucking talk right now, is there's a ceiling effect with 7-OH. Now, what that means is, I'm pretty sure some other substances have this. I'm not sure if it's a bioavailability limit or if it's what's the term I'm looking for, or if it's like a receptor thing, like you're only so much can bind to your receptors. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But what that means is, you know, as your tolerance builds, you go from like 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, 40, 60, 80. Once you get to the 80 to 120 milligram like high point, if you take any more than 90 to 120 milligrams, you're not really gonna feel any higher, because this shit does get you really fucking high. Especially if you have no opioid tolerance, like nothing. If you're just straight out the bat taking 7-O and you didn't, especially if you didn't have a leaf kratom tolerance, this stuff's gonna get you blasted off your sack pretty fucking quick. But yeah, the ceiling effect, basically, if you take more than the amount I said, yeah, you're just not gonna get any higher. You will, like, it mostly prolongs it just makes it last a little bit longer. And in my opinion, or at least from my experiences, the peak effects only last, for me at least, 3 to maybe 6 or 7 hours at most. Um, and I feel like that only gets shorter as your tolerance grows. Now, another thing I want to mention, this shit's fucking expensive. And it's getting more expensive because they're trying to ban it. Now, I will go out and just straight up say 7-O is a pretty fucking predatory thing, or at least the companies that make it are really fucking predatory. I mean, even in my thumbnail, you could see a brand called Perks or 80s. Like, they even make vapes of this stuff, but the problem with the vapes is if you heat up 7-O to a certain point, like to the point where it needs to be vaped, it's just destroying it. It's a waste of fucking money. And a lot of the time, even heard it's not real 7-O in those vapes either. It's some fucking research chemical like ODSMT or or fucking U4440, whatever the fuck, that fucking pink shit I've heard about. And that can be really, really dangerous because you don't know what the fuck you're putting in your lungs. Most people aren't gonna send it to a lab to test it. That's like, pretty sure that could cost you thousands of dollars. Um, and the way they advertise this stuff is just really fucked up because they'll say, "Oh, herbal supplement," or "Oh, sleep aid." Like they'll put all these medicinal pharmaceutical sounding labels on it. And also, legally, you don't have to be 21 to buy this. But, like, a lot of smoke shops will still ID you, but they only do that in good faith. And it's just, like, there's high schoolers buying this stuff. There's probably fucking middle schoolers buying this shit. And they're trying to ban it, which I used to, like, be in denial, like, oh, this shit's not bad, like, keep it around. Like, yes, it can help you kick harder shit. Like, if you're smoking fent, which can fucking kill you, and you need something to help with the withdrawals, I can see 7-0 being pretty fucking good for that, because you can kick 7-0. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's like a week or two of withdrawal and being really tired, at least in my experience. And there's other stuff. You get your stomach cramps, the restless leg syndrome, the cold sweats, but that's only if you're on it real bad. Um, but it can be a useful tool in very small cases. And the reason I mention that is because a lot of the time, doctors and hospitals and just pharmaceutical companies in general, if you're trying to kick a hard opioid, they're gonna give you something like Suboxone, which again falls into the category of replacing one thing with another. Because you quit Suboxone, you get severe opioid withdrawal. You quit methadone, good fucking luck quitting that shit, buddy. I know people that have been on that shit for like 20 fucking years. It's a nightmare. It's not good shit. And I just, I think this whole, like, what's the word I'm looking for? This whole conglomerate of all these Kratom and 7-0 companies, like, a lot of them are actually clashing and having legal battles over this stuff, too. They're trying to sue each other. They're trying to get, like, X brand banned. They're trying to do this or that. Or they're paying politicians to fucking ban this or that. That could be a whole separate video on its own. But I wanted to make this video as a pseudo warning, but also to just teach you guys what this stuff is about, because I'm going to be quite honest, I still kind of struggle with 7-0. I still take it sometimes. It's not a good thing. Am I taking it as much as I used to? Fuck no. When I first got into 7-0, I went fucking wild with it. I would take almost 200 milligrams a day and just fucking nod out at my desk half asleep trying to play fucking Minecraft. I mean, it's just addiction to these things sucks, and the fact that anybody can buy it at any age, well, not any age, but you know what I mean, like fucking high schoolers and shit, that they can just buy this and start a lifelong addiction, possibly, it is just really sad, because I've been addicted to many things, and I hate seeing it happen to other people. And when they do eventually ban this stuff, because they will, I mean, they're already working on workarounds before it's even officially like a Schedule 1 substance, like the DEA is trying to make it. You got MGM-15, you got pseudo and doxil, which 7-0 partially converts into when you digest it, kind of like what is it, like kind of like a THCA scenario. 2018 Farm Bill type antics going on here. It's just like, when they ban this stuff and all the people that are hooked on it are fucked, it's gonna be a lot like the original opioid crisis and how that started with OxyContin and like I want to say mid to late 90s, early 2000s when they started heavily regulating it, and then everybody started doing heroin. And I think what's going to happen here is all the fucking kids, high schoolers, even like especially adults, when they can't get their 7-0 or MGM15 or pseudoindoxil anymore, they're probably going to start going to fucking street drugs because they can't take the withdrawal, or they're depressed without it, or they can't go to fucking work without it, or they're in genuine pain and they need something and their doctor won't help them and they can't get it from the smoke shop. They're going to go to street drugs, and that could be, the fake M30s with fentanyl in them and it could kill people, or they're going to get hooked on like Oxy or like fucking Vicodin and shit. Like it's just it's like a never-ending cycle, and I I think what needs to happen is they need to regulate it, but I don't think they should outright ban it because then we run into the problem I just described, and that's not going to be good for anybody. It never has been, never will be. I just want to end this video off by saying the primary reasons why me personally I would use 7-0 is it calmed me down a lot because I'm a very high-strung person. I get stressed out over a lot. I also have pretty bad aches and pains sometimes. Um, you know, I couldn't even go to work without this stuff at a certain point. And it would make me feel more confident. It would make me less anxious. Like it essentially was doing for me what I thought alcohol was doing, but better. And like I've said a couple times in this video, I was just replacing one thing with another. Now, 7-0 by itself can't outright kill you. I'm not, well, at least most people, it's not like because of that ceiling effect and because of how expensive it is. I would go out on a limb and say it's like the cocaine of opioids. But yeah, I was just using it to feel normal. And when you take something to feel what you now think is your definition of normal, and if you don't have it, you don't feel normal, that's just never a good thing. And it really is just a sign to quit that stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be all for tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something. Yeah, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow my Instagram. I'm gonna start putting it in the bottom left corner or whatever. And yeah, that'll be it. Spare out, guys. Have a good night.